Welcome back. We are joined today by Kai Achim Schönbach, the retired Vice Admiral and the former head of the German Navy. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Professor.
So as I understand, you were the head of the German Navy until January 2022, when you were essentially pushed to resign. And the reason for this, I found it astonishing, as well as many other people around the world. That is that you had made some remarks during a meeting in India, which were considered to be controversial. That is, you argued that Ukraine would most likely not be able to retake Crimea, and also that it would make more sense to treat the Russians with more respect, or I think the quote was that Putin deserves respect. So from my understanding, this wasn't even a normative position about whether Russia should keep Crimea. It was merely a recognition then that there was no chance of wrestling away Crimea from Russia. I thought, this should have made a lot of sense, common sense. At least it would be an acceptable position or argument, as recognizing reality is often very important to pursue the optimal policies. And in retrospect, I would say that many lives could have been saved if people would have listened to people like you. But instead, you were forced to leave the position as the head of the German Navy. I was wondering if you could explain what happened in those days. What was given as a reason, for example, for having to be pushed out?
First of all, can I should you address Professor, or can I say Glenn? Please say Kai.
Glenn, we can be
that. Okay, perfect. I think your intro was perfect. Perfect statement already. Okay, then it ought all to do for those who probably not know, because it was really, as you said, it was seen as controversial. However, the German government had no really stand at that time with regard to this issue. It had all to do with the fact that I visited New Delhi in 2022, as you said, in January, during the voyage of the German frigate Bayern. It's the first time for 10 years, I think 10 years before was the last time the German frigate or German ship was paying a visit to East Asia. And they were on the way back. They were on the way to in Pakistan, on the way back in India, halfway before they get home in Wilhelmshaven, northwestern part of Germany. And they were in Mumbai. And after meeting with the foreign minister in Delhi and attending various other appointments, I was invited at relatively short notice to a double meeting, so to say, that lasted a total of about 3.5 hours. This meeting format involved two think tanks in a suburb of New Delhi, and at the second appointment, I was asked to give a lecture and hold a Q&A session, which was only supposed to last a few minutes. The lecture itself had been coordinated with the Foreign Office and the Ministry of Defense in Berlin, of course. During the short Q&A session, a young woman in the room, you remember there was Corona times, so we were separated in different rooms. She asked me what I thought should happen next with the Crimean Peninsula. You can see this in the video. And I replied that I did not know really, but that I should expect the Russian Federation to be willing to voluntarily return the Crimean Peninsula. And I said something like, Crimea is gone, or it's gone away, it's never come back. However, this statement was interpreted in the German media as my agreement that the Crimean Peninsula should remain part of the Russian Federation, and I approved of Russia's actions. Please forgive me for saying this here in this serial channel from you. This interpretation of my statements and my personal was complete nonsense and simply bullshit. Of course, I did not hold this view. I had already given a presentation in favor of Ukraine of this topic at the OSCE in Vienna just 1 year before, at a hearing on the subject, and my capacity as head of the German delegation. As a result, I was awarded a high Ukrainian order, and even after this so-called scandal, I received the Medal of Honor from the University of Kiev. So in this respect, Glenn, you can see that I in no way wanted to see the status of the Crimean Peninsula as anything other than part of Ukraine. The second question then later on, and you said just when I said Putin deserves it, was from a participant who asked what I believe the Russian Federation or President Putin wanted to expect or expected. I said in essence that I don't know it, of course, but if I had to speculate, I would assume that the Russian Federation and its president want to be treated as equal partners. I subsequently linked this to the word respect. I said that if I was asked what Putin wanted, it was probably respect. What I meant by this was respect for Russia's right to represent its own security interests on its western borders. But crucially, I meant respect. But what I did not say and did not mean was that one had to comply with Russia's demands or accept the whole thing. I later said then, and even he deserves it, but it was not meant Vladimir Putin, but the president of the Russian Federation. I then went on to say that if that was all it was, just respect in this regard, then it could be achieved at low cost or even no cost. Now, this video, which only showed a very small excerpt from the 3.5 hours lecture and discussion, was then leaked without showing the context. Among these experts in the room and at the cameras, there was no need to repeat every 2 minutes that we don't support Moscow's actions. It was absolutely clear. And from this leak, including only one of 3 audio loops, I was then accused of being a Putin supporter and Russia sympathizer. And as a result, it was framed on this way. And the German media put a lot of pressure on then Minister Lambrecht, Christina Lambrecht was a female minister, so that she felt compelled to remove me from office. I then resigned myself. I saw that the minister and my military superior, the Chart, were more or less helpless and did not want to fight for me or to at least dispel this untrue framing and support me. Yeah, that's life.
Well, what you described, though, was something that's been seen also among journalists and academia. For example, people like Professor John Mersheimer and others, they made the point for the past, 20 years that Russia would have seen its main security concerns were seen as being tied up to the concern about Ukraine ending up in the NATO orbit. And as Mersheimer argues, if you didn't recognize this or respect these security concerns, then that this was necessary to protect Ukraine, because if Russia's security concerns would then be ignored, they would likely respond in a way that would destroy Ukraine. So again, when people like Mersheimer made this argument, this is considered to be a pro-Ukrainian position. That is, if we ignore the Russian security concerns, then essentially Ukraine will perish. So the same way, if you would put a Chinese military